beautiful. So, Talya, let's talk a little bit about the piece first, yeah? Because it's a very interesting piece, and it's interesting to sort of figure out how to interpret a piece like this. Like, where do you start, right? So just talk to me a little bit about how you approach this, what you know about it.
Well, there's not really much history. It's written for a dead musicologist, but other than that, I think we interpreted Grave as kind of, it starts very somber and gradually gets more skittish. So the approach, the beginning is very heavy, and then by the end it's in an upper register, very light.
Okay. So it was interesting to me when I was looking at it thinking, okay, so he writes it as a memorial to his friend, I guess. I don't know about this friend so much, but so it's a sort of memorial piece, so I guess maybe his friend had some playful sides, but he's passed on, so it has that the sort of sense of someone's life rather than just mourning for them. Yeah. So we have these contrasts. Do you know what the first four notes come from? It's actually a direct quote from something. Do you know?
I'm thinking soccer variations.
No. Actually, it's actually from the opera Debussy, Pleeth. It's the very beginning of the opera. It starts with those four notes, and if you know the story, it starts in a forest. In a sort of a man is in the forest and he discovers this beautiful woman who's sort of by a lake or something, and then it goes on from there. I won't get into it, so it gets very dark. But it's a sort of mysterious opening, right? I mean, that's what the piece is. So that's kind of interesting to know that he took it from there. I don't know if he took it because this musicologist loved Debussy, or maybe he just felt that it evoked something about this person, or maybe he just felt inspired to use those four notes. We don't know. But I think it's interesting. Maybe it inspires you to think about if you listen, you should go and listen to the opera and listen to how it starts. It inspired me when I was thinking about the piece to think maybe there's some sense of mystery or something. Because also he writes mezzo forte, which always to me is a kind of indication of something not quite sure of itself. It's not forte and it's not piano. It's kind of in between, sort of, so it's kind of, maybe it's a kind of searching dynamic in a way. You could look at it that way, yeah? So that's one of the, so I wanted to sort of start there and talk a little bit about it. The other thing that's interesting, without getting too, I mean, this is all, we could get very technical about how the piece is put together, but if we sort of, can you talk about some important intervals in it? Do you have a sense of what intervals he's really honing most in on?
Beginning, there are a lot of perfect fourths and tritones.
Well, I think that, so he takes that motive, this can you play the opening, the first four notes for us? Right. And then the end, play the very end where you go up the sort of arpeggio of that, the very end. Yeah. No, so it comes, yeah, no, but he does, then he elaborates on it, right? So he takes those notes and just kind of brings it up the octave, and so we kind of evaporate, yeah. So we have, okay, so we already established as a perfect fifth and the major second, right, a whole step. So that's one thing. And then another interval that he really plays is a tritone, and he first introduces it here, there, yeah, and then you have places where he's really playing with it, like in the middle. Here, all this stuff here, he always starts with that, right? And the half step, which he's playing with. So the tritone and the half step are also incredibly important intervals. So from what I know about Lutoslawski, which is not a great deal, although I did meet him once, and he used to live secretly in Oslo, where I lived for a while. He was kind of in hiding there. He became very popular towards the end of his life. There was a sort of, Lutoslawski kind of was almost like a sort of rediscovery, or sort of, quite late in his life. And I think he kind of went into hiding in Oslo, hoping nobody would find him there. But we actually did find him, and we're working on a piece of his, which was a piece for solo strings, and played for him. He was a very, very polite man, very dapper. very well dressed and extremely polite with a beautiful English accent when he spoke in English. And you'd never imagine that. It's just sort of funny to think of someone that he looked like that, and then he writes this, incredibly, like, just music with all this color and great dynamic contrast and all this. It was just very interesting to see him in person. Anyway. To go back to sort of thinking about that, so sort of these important points where he's showing you these intervals, and I think maybe you could do a little bit more to help us, navigate us through the music in a certain way and say, oh yeah, do you recognize that? You know what I mean? So by bringing things out a little bit more. Yeah, so you're kind of, because I think for a lot of people, hearing a piece like this the first time, it's baffling in a way. So you as a performer have to kind of guide us through to help us, sort of talk to us about, teach it to us as you're playing, really, okay? Okay, so let's start at the beginning and just work on that. So if we imagine, let's just say for argument's sake that he is imagining a forest, a mysterious forest at twilight or something. So the light is kind of dim, and suddenly this person appears in the trees, okay? Just for fun, can you give me a totally different version? Something where...
Same image?
Same image, yeah. Or if you need a different image, that's also fine. But something, just a very different color, something calmer and not so evolved yet. I think that's very beautiful. That for me, that is more successful in giving a sense of potential, something that's going to happen, that you're not just there. But again, that's an artistic choice. I mean, you have so many options, yeah. So you can, and then the question is the fermatas. He writes fermata on each of these notes. Does that mean that they're all of equal length, do you think?
No.
Maybe not. Maybe you could play with that a little bit. So think about the intervals. Maybe that makes you hold one note more than the other. Try it again. So beautiful. Yeah, all these things are possible. Yeah. One thing, Talya, just to think about, just because we're really doing a cello class and we need to talk about cello stuff too. So if I said to you, if I sort of give you more limited parameters, and saying to you, you can't use vibrato, you just have to do this with just bow speed, bow weight. Yeah, how would you play it? Do you know then the first note you kind of do a bulge? Is that intentional? I see, okay. Just want to make sure. And actually in the opera it's interesting. It kind of starts, it's almost like these notes are kind of, they're sort of there. They don't kind of creep in. They're kind of, it's almost like he's giving us, it's like almost bell-like in a way. So that could be something you could think about. Maybe, it's there right away, not doing that. Just try that. I just want to hear you do that. Still, can you start right? Like have the sound like a pizz. Play pizz. Yeah. Once again, another pizz. Can you make a more beautiful pizz? Yeah. Can it sound like that? Good. Yeah, go on. Yeah. Also beautiful. So it's interesting for the audience to hear what's possible with just 4 notes on the cello. We can do so many different things, so many wonderful things, depending on we think about whether the impulse is immediate, yeah, or whether we're swelling into it, or all of these things. And you do that beautifully. Good. So are you missing your vibrato? Do you wish you could vibrate?
A little.
Okay. I didn't miss it too much, but let's hear what you do with it. Beautiful. Okay, good. Let's go on now. Thinking about interpretation here. Well, the first thing that's happening in when Kai-Ching enters, right? There's just one note, right? And then she adds the F, and then you add the G5. From here, I'm having trouble hearing. I hear very much a lot of the E, but I don't hear the cluster as you add the half step above. I'd love to hear more of the other notes. Yeah, so if you can somehow balance it a little bit towards, so it gets more and more intense. Now, when you play this, and she goes yup, bop, 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 do you think that you guys are the same character?
Similar, but not the same.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Because I wondered whether you could try something where you stay in more of a kind of singing, and she's more contrasting. So you have a little bit more of a not being absolutely, because you were a really good chamber music player. You played kind of really in a unified way. But see what happens if you try more contrast. So you're still in the grave. I mean, she's grave, but she's stern, and you're more singing. Yeah. Okay, yeah, easier to make sure you rest. Good. So I don't know. It's an interesting question. I mean, whether you want to do that or not. But for me, it sort of keeps the sort of mournful quality a little bit longer, and sort of she's like inevitable, and you're sort of pulling against that in a way. Yeah. So emotionally. Then okay. So then we get to the subito piano that happens with that we were just coming to. And Talya, there's a little bit of a balance issue there because she plays this big chord, and then you're supposed to play subito piano. I don't hear your first entrance. So I actually think acoustically, either you need to get out of the way a little more if you can, or just wait a split second longer before you come in so we can hear that first entrance, okay? So let's try the same place as before.
Do you think that subito piano should have a definite start, or should be more kind of
floaty?
Yeah.
Well, what do you think? I mean, she's got, yeah, so she play the chord you have right there on where she has the subito piano, and you play your part. Yeah, yeah, I agree. I think it should be kind of mysterious, not too definite. Yeah, instinct is good. Okay, so start from the pianoforte. with the half steps, right? Can you feel it more as intervals? Resigned, looking up, right? So that not only between the two notes, but one little interjection related to another. Okay? So just right there, second bar of 1, yeah? Of a place where I felt that you're taking on her energy too much. I think you could be more singing and let her be the strict teacher wrapping you on your wrist, and you're trying to break out of it. Okay? So can we try? Where's a good place? Just actually right there is fine, right on the poco forte there. Just that part once. Good. If I asked you to phrase by the like feel the bows as the phrasing, so so I'm swinging more by the bowing that he gives you. Yeah, can you try? Yeah, that's quite nice. That has a sort of flow to it. Can we try it? And that's really in opposition to boom, 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 right? Okay. About specificity of sound. So here now we have some tritones that he's introduced, okay? So maybe for our audience, it might be helpful to do something with your sound that shows us you're playing a different, before you were fooling around with the half step, right? And now you're showing he's doing the tritone in a new rhythm. And by the way, just something interesting about this piece is that the rhythm, the cello part gradually goes from sort of eighth notes to triplet quarters, right? It starts, it's like in a cello rondo of rhythm until she gets to 16th notes at the highest point. So now we're introducing these quarter note triplets. So I wonder if when you introduce that tritone again, you could have a different sound than you had for the, yeah? So we see, okay, here's something, I want to show you this now, yeah? So let's try 2, yeah? Just the sound production there. Your strings are low, something's buzzing. Yeah? Yeah, maybe also contact point. Just get a little bit. Yeah, it's better, but yeah. So, okay. So making sure. Can you give me a lot of articulation, but then leave more quickly so you get more of like, again, like a pizzicato kind of attitude. That's better, yeah. Yeah, and the vibrato right away? Yeah, that's better. Yeah, it has more energy. Yeah? Good. Okay, so really together that, I think something for you to think about is just when you start notes, make sure that these guys are talking to each other. Your hands are talking, right? So if you want something vivid, you need to be vivid in both hands. Not only the articulation in the right hand, but also the left hand. Good. So let's just hear how that sounds. Right on the subito forte? Yeah. Are you starting from the string each time? Trying to. Yeah. Yeah, maybe one more time. Right? think this is a place. Yeah, it's interesting when you think about. We have to sort of, in a place like this, you really have to match the piano articulation. And she has so naturally, being a percussion instrument, sorry to say that, she has this natural, start to the note. So we have to work, especially in the low register, you have to work a little harder, I think, to get your vivid articulation. Yeah? One more time, same place. Okay, just for rhythm. Yeah, let's do it one more time. Okay, don't be influenced again. You don't have a piano,
Yes.
right? Yeah, stay loud. Yeah, you're so you're so sensitive, Talya, that you just do what she does. She doesn't even know what to do, and you just join it. See, fight her more. Okay. Now let's hear that. Do the third bar after you started. The 4-2. Yeah. Okay, so flotando for me is a little more of an unusual sound, maybe. What do you think? Yeah, like exaggerate. Yeah, he uses like, have you played the variation, the software variation? He does it a lot. There's a particular place he does it in here. Yeah, so don't be afraid to find something a little unusual in the sound.
I'm afraid of not being rhythmically precise if I...
Well, I mean, you can, yeah. I mean, it doesn't have to, you can, I mean, it can be where your bow, contact point, right? Maybe more fingerboard. Yeah, maybe. Maybe that's more surprising. Again, thinking about a piano articulation. Do it again. You're dropping. Can you start from? Yeah, I think so. In a place like this, you want to be more specific about what you're doing your bow to prepare. Yeah? Okay, good. Okay, now, well, let's keep going because I want to talk about something else before we run out of time. But keep going. Could you go maybe, let's go back a little bit. Let's see. How about the 3-4? You know when you play there? Yeah? It's too nice, Talya. It's too nice. Do you think it's, well, maybe we think of it differently. Is it surprising that? I think so. A little bit shocking. Yeah. Yeah, maybe more. Yeah. I mean, although it isn't a forte piano, it's a sforzando, so maybe it has a little more. Yeah, maybe that more. Yeah, okay. So one more time. Let's do the same again. Okay, good. Just one little tiny detail. It's amazing. Actually, this is almost classical in the sense of the cleanliness of the writing and how pure. It's so like. There's nothing extra, right? So here we have this beautiful, Kai-Ching, play your part, you're on the subito piano. Can you take her color there? Yeah? So you're in a different, you're melting into that color, but see if you can continue from her. Can we try right on that bar, the 5/4 bar? That's the 5/4 bar we were talking about with the E, yeah. For you. So here, this is a part that I kind of, when I first listened to this, I thought, what is he trying to do here? So it is kind of dancey in the rhythm and the way he groups the notes in duplets. But I just wonder if, since we are in a piece called Grave, and this is, I wonder if you could have something more yearning in your sound. Maybe it sounds so happy. Like for those weird, for that interval, your sound is very happy. I don't know, it just doesn't quite, maybe something a little more, kind of, rubbing, sort of irritating in a way, instead of, yes. Just see what you think. Try right on 5. It would be the difference between playing a sort of lilting way, releasing, or very sostenuto. Yeah, can you try that just by yourself once? Yeah, so don't even decay at all. Like keep your, like as if you were going, play that for me. Yeah, maybe that's just a little more sort of searing, and you can decide if you agree with that color, but I just want you to have possibilities, yeah? Okay, good. So can we try that with her? And it's interesting because that, in a way, well, let's see how it sounds with Kai-Ching. So let's go right there on 5. Change the tempo a little bit, but you a little bit slow, yeah. Keep your 8th note going, yeah. So it's almost like you're just passing through, and it changes, but it doesn't affect the speed of the 8th note. So I think, Talya, you feel it very naturally. So you start to release. I don't know. I think you could investigate that a little bit more. It's a little more annoying, less beautiful, yeah, and maybe a little more meaningful in this place. I don't know. Yeah. So keep. Yeah. So not dancing. So sort of resisting the dancing element in a way. Yeah. Okay. So let's try that one more time. Can you start again at 5? Good. All right. So apologies, we only have 2 minutes, it just went by so quickly. Because I wanted to talk to you about just the bigger structure, just like we were doing in the Franck. Do you know what the loudest part of this piece is? Where it is? The climax? Yeah, exactly. And I just want to work just a little bit with you on just getting, again, just kind of finding your climactic sound. Because, I mean, the whole piece, in a way, builds to that moment, right? And I felt a little disappointed when I got there. Yeah, that wasn't like for me. So I wonder if you could just take it right on 10 once. Yeah. Is that the loudest you can play? Is that your absolute maximum? How many times do you have to play fortissimo in your life? Not very many. There aren't many composers that even write that. I mean, Tchaikovsky does, right? It's sort of, I like to think of sometimes the way composers use dynamics. Like some composers are sort of emotional dynamic writers. Like Tchaikovsky, he writes just like 4 Fs, or Wagner or something, 5 Fs, 7 pianissimos, Whereas someone like Beethoven is much more, or Brahms, much more specific. They use them only when they really mean it, and is more structural than emotional. Not always, but quite often. Lutoslawski, I think this is a really important structural moment in the piece, yeah, because we've built up the rhythms all the way to this, right? And so he's saying, this is your absolute maximum you can play. So I want to hear you give me even more. How much can you give? Feel like, Talya, that your bow is almost too free for the intensity. It's almost like you're moving it too fast. Can you get a little bit, use the bridge to get a little bit more resistance? Yeah. And you and I are about of similar sizes, right? So again, well, I was talking to Drew, and he's got long arms too, but I think you can use more of the space around you on either side of you. So your back is getting involved, yeah. So that you feel like you have this incredibly long bow, yeah? He's got a fermata on that, right? So, yeah. Okay, so you're dividing it?
Yeah. it's
Right.
2 verses.
I think that's part of the problem. It's not that I don't think you should do it, but the fact that you're dividing it makes it sound kind of easy, right? If you just play it once without dividing it, just play it play it as long as you possibly can without dividing the bow. Okay, in a way for me that's more dramatic, but now do your bowing, but see if when you change bow, it's almost like it's not a new note. It's part of the same feeling. Yeah, so it's going to be a slow bow change. Yeah. Okay, so I hear accents when you change.
Yeah.
So how do you? It's hard. I think the only way is actually not to almost to forget about your hand and change. Just shift actually think about moving your back, move your spine. And slow down the bow change, slow down the bow. So find that space. Yeah. So not too much up this way, but more this way. Yeah. Yeah, that's getting it now. Yeah. So don't, and just a little bit, like I felt like your vibrato droops a little bit towards the end of the notes, but keep it really intense. Yeah, because again, it's like the beginning when we were talking about these. Yeah, it's juxtaposing the intervals and feeling what the tension is between the notes. Okay? Yeah. So just one last thing. I want you to get into that note. So do. Yeah? And what's the tempo you're going to be? Tadati? It's going to be quick, right? Or or is it slower? Play it for me. What you want to do? Good. Can you immediately save right when you get to the B flat? Yeah? It's better. Okay, yeah. You keep working on the bow change. Yeah. It's this plus this. Unfortunately, we don't have time to get into that more, but it's and not moving too much. Of course, if we do too much of this, we're going to disturb the contact point. We don't want that. But we want just to feel a little bit of space at the end of the bow, so that you don't feel like you have to accent. Yeah. So can we try that with Kai-Ching now? So maybe from before 10, 1, 2, 3, 4 bars. Just because the piano is so percussive and so big, whether you should re-articulate the fortissimo. Whether you should, yes, maybe possibly try to like that you actually lift before. Yeah, so it just gives it an extra, as if you were speaking or singing it, you really put a consonant sound rather than a vowel. Yeah, I think that would give it more heft. Yeah. Okay. All right. Good. One last time, and I'll let you go.
Same place.
Yes, same place. Sorry, I was talking to you. Yeah. Okay, great. All right, so that sounded stronger, but you'll keep working on keeping the slow bow change so you don't let your bowing disturb the intensity of it. Yeah, great. Terrific. Thank you.